Typically, everyone's go-to Uber build is the Smiter, and for good reason. It's a build with guaranteed hits, it could be geared up with budget items and still be viable, and for many, it's just a very fun build to be able to use. I usually go with other builds for clearing Ubers, but I want to give the Smiter another go, so that's what we are doing in today's video. In today's video, I'm going to go over the build for the Endgame Uber Smiter, a build that is OP for one of the hardest of this game's endgame content, with very few that can give it a run for its money. I'm going to go over the attributes, the skill tree, the gear for my character and my mercenary, and afterwards I'm going to show you guys some gameplay so you could see this build in action. But do keep in mind that when it comes to this build, there are different ways you can be able to gear the character depending on your needs, whether you're trying to go for maximum DPS, you're trying to do a magifying character, or a hybrid of the two. Just keep in mind when it comes to looking at the gear choices that I'm going to be choosing, that you can choose alternative gear depending on the demand that you have for your build. Now let's go ahead and get into the video. For the attributes, I have enough strength to be able to equip the gear, enough points into dexterity for max block, once fully buffed up and using Holy Shield, and the remaining points go into vitality. For the skill trees, starting with the combat skills, Smite is maxed, as well as Holy Shield is maxed as it adds to Smite's damage. Then, for the offensive auras, I max Fanaticism to increase my IAS or increase attack speed, especially against Duriel who would have us slow down because of his Holy Freeze. Then, for the defensive skills, I max Defiance as it synergizes Holy Shield. Then I split the remaining points between both Resist Fire and Resist Lightning to ensure that my resistances are over the normal capped limit to be able to better my survivability in Uber Tristram. For the gear, do keep in mind that this is a hero edited character. All the items that you see here are not single self found on single player offline, nor do I play online to be able to have someone assist me with helping me get these items to then showcase in this video. I wanted to put this build together myself to be able to show if it would be worth the time and the resources needed to be able to make it effective, in case anyone would be curious to be able to build this out for themselves, and also just for the spectacle of the concept itself. For the helm, I'm using a G-face socketed with an IAS jewel. Again, I just want to prep for Duriel, as he would potentially slow this build down, but it also has faster hit recovery, crushing blow, and strength. The amulet is a 220 Paladin caster amulet with all res. For those crafting caster amulets, even a 20% FCR with no skills would help with the FCR breakpoint to not have to use additional gear outside of what's being shown in this section, and getting 20% for playing caster amulets happened more frequently for me than I ever could have expected. Make sure to check out my beginner's guide for crafting caster amulets to know more, and to see the odds of what can actually roll with 50 different attempts. The body armor is Enigma. As this build centers around teleporting instead of charging around for mobility, Enigma also has plus to skills, faster run walk, strength based on character level, physical damage reduction, life after each kill, and increased maximum life. For the weapon, I'm using the Runeward Grief. As with this weapon, both in the Runeward itself and the base being used, I'll hit the max IAS breakpoint for using Smite. It has 40% increased attack speed, enhanced damage, flat 400 damage, damage to demons, and life and mana after each kill. The shield is the Runeward Exile in an Ethereal Vortex Shield base. This helps to add more defense, thus then adding more to the Smite damage, but also to be able to utilize the Repairs mod. It also has a life tap proc, plus 2 offensive auras, level 14 Defiance aura when equipped, help with blocking, enhanced damage and defense, freezes target, adding to max cold and fire resistances, and all resistance. The boots are Gore Riders for the faster run walk, crushing blow, and open wounds. The first ring is Ravenfrost for the dexterity and cannot be frozen. The belt is T-Gods for strength, vitality, and the lightning absorb against Mephisto. The second ring is a rare dual leech, life, mana, and all resistance ring. Though unfortunately, you won't be able to leech anything with using Smite. However, the other stats are what I'm focusing on for why I'm using this ring. The gloves are Mage Fist for the faster cast rate, and regenerate mana. On Switch, I'm using the staple CT8 or Call to Arms and Spirit combination to boost my Mercenary and Ice health for better survivability. But this also is the hand that I'm going to be using for teleporting around, and I'll go over the stats for why that is very shortly. In the inventory is the Cube, both Tomes, Torch, Annie, the Grand Charms are all P-Comb Skillers, and the Small Charms are all plus to life Small Charms. However, if you wish to avoid pre-buffing, a good alternative for these Small Charms would be Resistant Small Charms. For the additional stats, starting with on Switch, since its other use for this build, besides buffing battle orders, is going to be used to teleport around. Looking at the faster cast rate, he has 75% FCR, which is an exact breakpoint. I know many players would prefer more, but for this build, I felt that 75% was more than enough without needing to sacrifice anything else that makes the build's clear speed and survivability great. Now, moving on to the main hand, he has 35% regenerate mana. Thankfully, Smite isn't too much of a mana-hungry skill, but against Baal and his Spectre minions that spawn, anything to help with mana to not have to waste using full rejuves is welcome with this build. Then there's 8% physical damage reduction, 29 to life after each kill, 75% faster run walk, negative 25% to target's defense, 185% damage to demons, 10% open wounds, 50% crushing blow, and 20 lightning absorb to hopefully not get one-shotted by Mephisto. For the Mercenary, he's pretty much just a walking stat stick, but I wanted to try to focus on his survivability over him being an additional source of damage. He isn't really needed for this build, and I do expect him to die eventually, especially against Lilith and Mephisto, but it does help if he stays alive, so I went with him using Andara's Visage socketed with a Rao rune, an upped Athgardian's Angel socketed with an rune to help push his resistances past the normal capped limit, and his weapon is the Pride rune word to help my damage go even further. Now that we've discussed the attributes, the skill trees, the gear for my character and my Mercenary, let's go ahead and check out this build in action to see how well it actually plays out. With the gameplay, for anyone who'd be curious as to which player settings I'm using for my build guides, the past, presently on screen, and in the future, down in the bottom left corner is what the example gameplay being shown is currently at.
Yes, warrior?
Hello.
You're too late.
I know this setup might be quite expensive for many to play, however, one of the great things about this build is that it's still viable even with a budget setup. So for any of you guys that want to see how it plays out with cheap gear, make sure to check out my video going over a budget Uber Smiter, a build that is very cost effective without sacrificing any of the fun. Video will be linked down in the description below. And that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and were able to see if this build would be something that you would be interested in going into the future, and if anything, at least just enjoyed the video. If you like this kind of content, want to see more, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification to be notified whenever a new video comes out.
Come on. Come on. Come on, man. There you are. There you are.
And if you like this video, please let me know by leaving a like. It really is appreciated to be able to help my channel to grow. And if you want to see more of my Diablo 2 Resurrected content, make sure to click the card in the corner up above to check out my Diablo 2 Resurrected playlist with a lot of videos already in it, with a lot more coming in the very near future. Other than that, I hope you guys are staying safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.